My name is Harris. For almost 2 years, I worked as the night receptionist at a small roadside hotel in rural Oregon. If you've ever driven through places like that, you know the type. Long highways, dense trees, poor cell service, and towns that seem to shut down after sunset. The hotel wasn't creepy by design. It just felt forgotten. 4 floors, 38 rooms, a lobby that smelled faintly of old carpet cleaner and burnt coffee. During the day, the place felt normal. Families checked in. Truck drivers grabbed keys and disappeared upstairs. Housekeeping carts rolled through the hall. At night, though, it felt like the building was holding its breath. My shift started at 11 p.m. and ended at 7 a.m. From midnight onward, I was usually the only employee in the entire building. No manager, no security, just me, the desk, and the security monitors mounted on the wall behind it. Most nights were painfully quiet. I watched the clock, refilled the same cup of coffee, scrolled through my phone until the battery dropped below 20%. The silence didn't bother me at first. I actually liked it. What bothered me was the 4th floor. Guests rarely stayed up there. Sometimes entire weeks went by without a single key issued for that floor. The elevator technically went up there, but most people preferred lower floors closer to the parking lot. During my first week, I noticed something odd while checking the room availability screen. Room numbers went like this: 401, 40, 3404. There was no 402. At first, I assumed it was a glitch. Hotels mess up databases all the time. But after a few days, curiosity got the better of me. I asked my manager during a shift change. She was typing something into the computer, barely listening. "What happened to room 402? I asked. "It's not even listed." She paused, just for a second. Then she said, "Fire damage years ago." That was it. No details, no explanation. I waited for more, but she went back to typing. "Is it dangerous?" I asked. She shook her head. "It's sealed. Has been for a long time. Don't worry about it." That should have ended the conversation. And honestly, for a while it did. Weeks passed, then months. I settled into routine. Night shifts blur together when nothing happens. But there was one thing that never changed. Every single night at exactly 2:17 a.m., the security camera covering the 4th floor hallway would freeze. Not flicker, not go black, freeze. The timestamp would stop moving. The image would lock in place for about 3 seconds. Then it would resume like nothing happened. Same time, same camera, every night. I reported it during my first month. Maintenance checked the wiring. I'd reset the system. Nothing changed. Eventually, everyone stopped caring. Everyone except me. You notice patterns when you work nights long enough. And patterns like that don't feel random. They feel intentional. Still, I explained it away. Old building, old wiring, coincidence. That's what I kept telling myself. Until the night the phone rang. It was just after 2:17 a.m. I remember because I had glanced at the clock when the 4th floor camera froze, like it always did. I sighed, reached for my coffee, and that's when the front desk phone rang. That almost never happened. Most guests had cell phones. Emergencies were rare. When the desk phone rang after midnight, it usually meant something was wrong. I answered it on the 3rd ring. "Front desk, this is Harris." Silence. Then the line went dead. I frowned and checked the caller ID. It showed 402. I actually laughed. A short, tired laugh. "Yeah, right," I muttered to myself. I assumed it was a system error, maybe an internal line misfiring. Before I could think about it further, the voicemail notification light blinked. One new message. I hesitated. Something about that number bothered me more than it should have. But eventually, curiosity won. I pressed play. At first, there was only static, then faint background noise, like crackling, distant, uneven. Then a man's voice, hoarse, calm, tired. "Front desk, the smoke is getting worse." I stopped breathing. The message ended there, no shouting, no panic, just that sentence. I checked the fire panel behind the desk. Nothing. No alarms, no alerts. The hotel was silent. I replayed the voicemail. Same words, same tone. My rational brain kicked in immediately. Old recording, corrupted system. Someone messing around. I opened the call log. The voicemail timestamp read July 14th, 2018, 2:17 a.m. That date meant nothing to me at the time. But it would. Because that was the night everything started coming back. And I didn't know it yet. But once something starts calling you, it doesn't stop easily. I didn't sleep after that shift. Not because I was scared, at least that's what I told myself, but because my brain wouldn't slow down. I kept replaying the voicemail in my head, analyzing every word, every breath between syllables. The smoke is getting worse. It didn't sound like a prank. It didn't sound like someone trying to scare me. It sounded like someone reporting a problem. The next evening I came in early. I wanted to talk to my manager in person, not over email or notes left in the logbook. She was at the desk when I arrived, counting cash from the register. "There was a call last night," I said, "from room 402. She froze, just for a moment, but long enough for me to notice. "That room doesn't have a phone," she said. "I know," I replied, "but the system logged it. Caller ID showed 402. There was a voicemail." She looked at me now, really looked at me. "What was on it?" she asked. I told her. She didn't interrupt, didn't ask questions. When I finished, she let out a slow breath and leaned against the counter. "That room caught fire," she said quietly. "Years ago, middle of the night." I waited. "One guest?" she continued. "Electrical fault. The hallway alarm went off, but by the time the fire department arrived, she stopped." "He didn't make it," I said. She nodded. "They sealed the room afterward. Insurance issues, legal stuff. The phone line was disconnected." "Then how?" "It's an old system, Harris," she cut in. "Sometimes archive data glitches, old voicemails resurface. It happens." That explanation felt thin, but I wanted to believe it. "Just ignore it," she added. "If it happens again." If it happens again. That night, I tried not to think about room 402. I focused on routine, checked guests in, answered a couple of late-night requests for towels, made fresh coffee around 1:30 a.m. At 2:16, I caught myself staring at the clock. I looked away. At 2:17, the fourth-floor camera froze. 3 seconds, I exhaled. Then the phone rang. I didn't answer it this time. I watched it ring. Watched the caller ID display 402. It stopped. Voicemail notification. I told myself I wouldn't listen. That lasted maybe 10 seconds. I pressed play. This time the background noise was louder. Crackling. A faint alarm sound, distant but steady. Then the voice. "Hello? I can hear people outside now. Please, can you tell them I'm still here?" My stomach dropped. This wasn't a generic fire recording. This wasn't something pulled from an archive. The voice reacted, responded, evolved. I checked the timestamp. 2:17 a.m. Current date. My hands were shaking now. I pulled up the security camera feeds, scanning every hallway, every stairwell. Nothing unusual, but when I pulled up the fourth-floor hallway feed again, my breath caught. The camera was frozen. Not for 3 seconds this time. It stayed frozen. The timestamp wasn't moving. I stood up and walked closer to the monitor, like that would help. The image showed the long hallway, dim lights, patterned carpet, and at the far end, a dark shape. I couldn't tell if it had always been there. I watched for almost a minute before the feed suddenly jumped forward, timestamp correcting itself like nothing had happened. The shape was gone. I didn't go upstairs. I didn't call anyone. I stayed behind the desk until my shift ended, staring at the phone like it might ring again. It didn't. But when I checked the voicemail system at the end of my shift, there was one more message. I hadn't noticed the notification light. This one was shorter. No background noise. Just the voice. "It's getting hard to breathe." I took the next 2 nights off, told them I was sick, which wasn't entirely a lie. I couldn't keep food down, and sleep came in short, shallow bursts. When I came back, I tried to act normal. I didn't mention the voicemails, didn't check the camera freeze logs, didn't look at the phone at 2:17. That night, the call didn't come. Neither did it the next. I started to relax. Then, on the third night, it came late, 2:41 a.m. Caller ID 402. I answered before I could stop myself. "Front desk," I said. "This is Harris." For a second, there was nothing. Then breathing, slow, wet, close. "Harris," the voice said. I pulled the receiver away from my ear and stared at it. "Yes?" I asked quietly. "You weren't answering," it said. "I thought I was gone." My mouth was dry. "Who is this?" I asked. A pause. "I don't remember," the voice replied. "I just know I'm still here." The line went dead. No voicemail, no log entry, just silence. I didn't stay until morning. I locked the desk, left a note, and walked out into the cold parking lot. As I reached my car, I looked up at the 4th floor. One window was blackened. Room 402. I don't know why I did it, but I raised my phone and took a picture. Later, when I checked it, the image was blurred. Except for one thing. In the reflection of the glass, the front desk, and someone standing behind it. I didn't show the photo to anyone. Not my manager. Not the police. Not even friends. I deleted it the next morning, convincing myself it was just a reflection trick. Glass, lighting, motion blur. Our brains are good at filling in shapes when we expect to see something, but expectation doesn't explain recognition. The figure in that photo had been standing exactly where I stood every night, behind the desk, facing the lobby. I didn't go back to work for 3 days. I turned my phone off at night, slept with the lights on, tried to distract myself with noise, television, podcasts, anything to drown out silence. It worked, mostly, until the voicemail started appearing on my personal phone. The first one came at 2:17 a.m., exactly a week after I'd walked out of my shift. Unknown number. No missed call. Just a voicemail. I almost didn't listen to it, almost. The background noise was different this time. No crackling. No alarms. Just a low hum, like electricity running through walls. Then the voice. I waited. I sat up in bed. "You're not at the desk anymore." My throat tightened. Did I do something wrong? The message ended. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I checked my call history. There was no incoming call listed at 2:17. The voicemail existed on its own, like it had been placed directly onto my phone. I went back to the hotel that afternoon. Not to work. To get answers, my manager wasn't there. Instead, I found an older woman behind the desk. Someone from corporate, I guessed. She looked at me like she'd already been told I was coming. "You're Harris?" she said. "Yes?" She nodded toward a chair. "Sit." I did. She folded her hands. "You've been accessing archived systems." "I listen to voicemails," I said. "That shouldn't be possible." She didn't deny it. "Room 402 was never properly disconnected," she said. "The phone line remained live internally, even after the fire." "Internally where?" I asked. She hesitated. "Sometimes," she said carefully, "systems keep echoes, data fragments, residual signals." "That voice knows my name." Her jaw tightened. "The guest in 402 filed a complaint the day before the fire," she said, "about the smoke detector malfunctioning, about the phone not working." I felt cold. "They never fixed it," I said. "None," she replied. "They didn't." I stood up. "I don't work here anymore," I said. "But whatever this is, it's not staying here." She met my eyes. "Have you listened to all the messages?" she asked. "No." "Then don't," she said. "Some connections strengthen with attention." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it sounded insane. That night, the voicemail came again, 2:17 a.m. "It's quieter where you are." I threw my phone across the room. The next morning, my smoke alarm chirped. Low battery. I replaced it and told myself to stop connecting dots that didn't belong together. But the smell came back that evening. Faint. Acrid. Like something electrical overheating. I checked every outlet, every appliance, nothing. At 2:16 a.m., my phone vibrated. No ring, just a notification. New voicemail. I didn't listen. I sat there, staring at the screen, heart pounding, waiting for something else to happen. At 2:17, my apartment lights flickered. Once, twice, then stabilized. I listened to the voicemail. No voice this time, just breathing. Slow, close, like someone standing right next to the phone. Then a whisper. "I can hear your alarm." My smoke alarm chirped again. I grabbed my keys and left. I stayed at a motel that night. Different town, different provider, paid cash, turned my phone off completely. At 2:17 a.m., someone knocked on my door. Once, then again. I didn't answer. There was no peephole view of anyone outside. The knock stopped. When I turned my phone back on in the morning, there was one voicemail. No number, no timestamp, just the voice. "I found you." That's when I understood. This wasn't a ghost. This wasn't a memory. It was a connection. A call that never disconnected, and it had followed the only person who ever answered. I stopped running after that night. Not because I felt safe, but because I realized distance didn't matter. Whatever this was, it wasn't tied to a building or a phone line anymore. It was tied to me. I was the last point of contact, the only one who answered. For weeks, I didn't receive another voicemail. No calls, no breathing in my ear at 2:17 a.m. Life started to resemble something normal again. That scared me more than the calls ever did. Silence doesn't always mean something is over. Sometimes it means it's waiting. I found a new job, day shift, small office, no phones, no overnight responsibilities. I told myself I'd moved on. But every night, without fail, I woke up at 2:16 a.m., no alarm, no noise, just instinct. My body remembered, even if my mind tried to forget. One morning, almost 3 months later, I got an email from an unfamiliar address. No subject line, just a PDF attachment. I shouldn't have opened it. But curiosity has always been my weakness. It was a fire investigation report. Official, stamped, dated years ago. The incident from room 402. I read it slowly. The fire started due to a faulty wall outlet. Smoke filled the room rapidly. The guest called the front desk at 2:14 a.m. No answer. He called again at 2:16 a.m. No answer. The night receptionist on duty that evening had stepped outside for a cigarette. Cameras confirmed the desk was unattended for 4 minutes. By the time emergency services were alerted, it was too late. I scrolled to the last page. Cause of death: smoke inhalation. Final note from the investigator: greater than guest attempted contact until phone line failed at approximately 2:17 a.m. I sat back in my chair. 2:17. The time everything froze. The email had one more line at the bottom. Typed, not part of the report. You answered when no one else did. That night, my phone rang. Not at 2:17. At 2:14 a.m. I stared at the screen. Unknown number. I answered. "Harris?" I said. For a moment there was silence, then the voice, clearer than ever. Calm, relieved. It worked this time. I closed my eyes. What worked? I asked. "You stayed," I swallowed. "I can't help you," I said. "I don't know how." "You already did," the voice replied. In the background, I heard something new. Not fire, not alarms. Voices, distant, muffled, like a lobby during the day. "They're here now," it said. "What do you mean?" I asked. The voice paused, then, "I don't smell smoke anymore." The line disconnected. No voicemail followed, no call log, nothing. That was the last time I ever heard his voice. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night, or the night after that. I waited for something, anything, to happen. Nothing did. Weeks passed, then months. I eventually stopped waking up at 2:16. Life went on. Last year, out of morbid curiosity, I looked up the hotel. It had been renovated. New name, new management, Fourth floor reopened. I checked the room listings. 401, 402, 403, room 402 was available. No mention of a fire, no memorial, no record. I considered booking a night there, just to see. I didn't. Some things don't need closure. I still keep my phone on silent at night. I still don't answer unknown numbers, and sometimes, very rarely, when I walk past a building with old wiring and flickering lights, I smell smoke. And I remember a man who called for help until the system failed him, and how the call didn't end. It just waited for someone to finally pick up.